Hey everyone, if you're thinking about relocating to coastal North Carolina, especially from New York like I did, or any of the other high-tech states, this video is going to give you the clarity that you actually need. So today we're breaking down Hampstead, North Carolina for 2026. The real numbers, the real lifestyle, the real cost, and the real changes happening with insurance, schools, and the Hampstead Bypass. No fluff, no drama, just exactly what you need to hear to make a confident decision about whether Hampstead fits the life that you're trying to build. Now, Hampstead sits right between Wilmington and Topsail Island, and over the last decade, it's become one of the fastest growing places on the entire North Carolina coast. People are coming here for the space, the schools, the value, and honestly, the relief. Mainly the relief from taxes, but there's also the relief from congestion and the relief from feeling boxed into a lifestyle that doesn't match who you are anymore. I made this move myself, so I understand exactly what's running through your head. And when you're comparing life up north to what's possible down here, it's amazing. Now let's start with the cost of homes in 2026, because this is where people get hit with the biggest shock. Let's say for a newer home in Hampstead, something built, let's say within the last 5 to 7 years, you're realistically looking at, let's say, $500,000 to $825,000, depending on the size, the finishes, and obviously the neighborhood and specific part of Hampstead that you're going to be in. For older homes, you're usually in the $450,000 to $600,000 range. Hampstead does not sit at Wilmington prices, and it doesn't sit at Topsail Island prices either. It's that middle lane, where you still get value without sacrificing lifestyle. Property taxes, or most people's jaws hit the floor. For me it did. Pender County, which covers Hampstead, has one of the lowest tax burdens on the entire North Carolina coast. For a home in that $550,000 to $825,000 range, most tax bills fall between $3,200 and $5,000 a year. If you're coming from Long Island like I did, or New Jersey, Connecticut, you already know that your tax bill is, $12,000 to $24,000 a year for a similar home. Now, some of you are paying more. So right out of the gate, your fixed annual burden drops significantly. And now that extra money opens up for real options for retirement, lifestyle upgrades, or just breathing room in your budget. But now we need to talk about insurance, because this is the reality of living along the coast. Hampstead is not on the island, it's on the mainland, but it's part of the coastal zone. And insurance prices definitely reflect that. Your total premium depends on your flood zone, your elevation, the age of the home, the roof, and your windstorm coverage. Now for a typical, let's say 2,200 to 3,000 square foot home in a low risk flood zone, let's say you're usually going to see a combined homeowners and wind premiums between, $2,600 and $3,500 a year. As you move into larger homes, newer construction, or areas that require separate flood insurance, the combined number often lands somewhere between $3,800 and let's say $5,200 a year. If a home is in a flood hazard area like Zone AE or VE, flood insurance is going to be a separate policy. Depending on that elevation certificate, the distance to the water, and whether the home has mitigation features that can add, let's say $1,200 to $2,000 a year. But the most important part of this discussion is simple. Get insurance quotes early in the process. Don't assume, don't guess, and definitely don't compare it to someone else's home. Every property down here is different, and insurance numbers can move depending on carrier and risk modeling. So when you put it all together, here's the reality for many families coming from the Northeast. So let's say, that $600,000 to $800,000 home in Hampstead, let's say $4,000 in taxes and $4,000 in insurance to be conservative. That's about $8,000 a year in mandatory carrying costs. In many northern markets, you're paying, $15,000 to $24,000 in taxes alone. So even though insurance is a real factor here, and I'm telling you that directly, your overall annual burden is still dramatically lower. Now, let's talk about schools, because this is one of the biggest reasons Hampstead has exploded in popularity. Hampstead feeds into the Topsail School District, which is consistently recognized for strong performance, community involvement, and long-term planning. Families moving here from out of state often comment on the sense of community, the sports programs, the overall support, and how quickly their kids settle in. I know mine did. The next major piece of Hampstead's future is the bypass. This is easily the number one infrastructure question that I get from everybody relocating here. The goal of this bypass is to pull the through traffic off Highway 17, reduce the congestion through the heart of Hampstead, which allows traffic heading to Wilmington to move more and more efficiently. The project is being built in phases, and as of 2026, the progress is real. The southern segment continues its construction momentum. Grading and bridge work has been expanding. The segment connected to Surf City is planned to follow. Let's say it's going to be finished between 2027 and 2030, so it's going to be soon. Now, what does the bypass mean for residents? First, commuting should improve for people heading towards Wilmington. Second, certain interior parts of Hampstead may become more desirable as cut-through traffic decreases. Third, growth will likely continue along Highway 17. That means more commercial development, more services, and more options for residents. If you're relocating, the bypass is not something to fear, it's something to understand because it will reshape the future of this entire region. Now here's the bottom line. Hampstead in 2026 and beyond sits in a rare sweet spot. You get strong schools, fast access to Surf City and Topsail Island, lower taxes, competitive insurance compared to the island properties, and a decade-long growth runway backed by real infrastructure. If you're coming from New York, you will feel a difference immediately. More space, more value, more calm, and way less noise, literally and figuratively. If you're thinking about moving in the next 90 days or anytime, 2026 and beyond, the next step is super simple. Reach out to me, schedule a coastal relocation call. I'll walk you through the neighborhoods, insurance realities, commute patterns, flood considerations, and everything else you need to make a confident decision. You don't have to figure this out alone. I made the move myself, and I've helped a lot of families make the same transition. Now, if you're interested, I'll put all my contact information in the description below. I appreciate you watching, and if this video has helped you at all, consider liking and subscribing. It helps more people from up north find the real information that they actually need. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a great day.